I am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say.
Great, another broken white boy for us to fix.
That's my secret, Cat.
I'm always angry.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are. With great power comes great responsibility. I can do this all day.
Wakanda forever!
And welcome, Internet, to another episode of Views from the 616, the blackest MCU podcast in the multiverse, powered by Four Owners, where we discuss everything in the MCU from the perspective of people of color. And it is one of your beautiful hosts, Tatiana King, a.k.a. the life and times of Sharon Carter, a.k.a. T'Challa Bread, a.k.a. the coldest winter soldier, Tesseract Thompson, Bafton and Maribah, and Ravonna Renplaya. And as always, I'm joined by the bespectacled and always fashionable
DJ BenHaMeen, your boy, back here in the co-captain's chair. Once again, let me let these AKAs off real quick because it is the Off-White Panther, the Power Toker, John Walk It Out, the Sad Titan, Hank Grimm, Grandmaster Flash Gordon, Black Tom Petty, Karen Civil War.
Wait a minute. He walked away. Can you, what was that last one?
Karen Civil War. That's right. We here. We in the spaceship. Let's get to this what if. You already know what's going on.
Oh, wow. That was some fire. I did not expect this early in the game. Welcome, everybody, to Views from the 616. We're here to talk all things what if. Specifically, what if episode 7, what if Thor was an only child? Let me just say off the top, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought it was funny. The pacing was out of control in a good way. It was just one after the other, kind of like almost cartoony type of hit, with each beat of the story. So I don't know. This is kind of up there as one of my favorite what ifs so far.
Yeah, I fully agree. What if just seems to keep topping itself every week for me because it's like they had the T'Challa episode, Star-Lord T'Challa, which was immediately a favorite. Then they had Doctor Strange merch off the whole universe, which immediately became one of my favorites.
It's so dark though, Ben. I mean, I was just like, God damn, it's too dark for me.
I know, but it was so good. My man was eating gnomes. It's like, come on. And then, then they had the zombies episode, which was complete comedy plus the horror and the wildness and just everything else. And then this episode was just pure comedy, and I loved it.
I loved it. I actually think this might be my favorite one.
I don't know if it's my favorite. The zombies is still probably up there, and T'Challa Star-Lord.
What is y'all infatuation with zombies, bro? Like,
I don't even care about zombies. Like, Marvel Zombies is one of my least favorite comics, really. I don't really care for it like that. But I just thought the What If episode was fantastic. I love Walking Dead. I'm a zombie fan like that. I've read the comics, from the beginning. I love George Romero. I love zombies like that, but I just love their take and the comedy. The comedy of that episode, even though this one was great, I still feel like the zombies had the best comedy.
Okay, got it. Because it's dark comedy. Once again, it's just this pattern that you keep going through. You're like, they're talking about, T'Challa talking about he's takeout. Like, yo, what the fuck? So
like I said, I told y'all, I was the kid who loved What If, the comic. Specifically because it got so hilariously dark every episode. Every issue. Like, I tell y'all, the one where Phoenix, because Phoenix is one of my favorite characters, What If Dark Phoenix? And it was like, what if Dark Phoenix doesn't die?
Phoenix. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, yes, I can't wait to read it. And then she ends up murdering everybody. And then, consuming the universe in a ball of flame. And I was like, that's not what I wanted, but, it was still great. So
it is what it is. Yeah. All right. So let's break down this.
Like the Watcher said, but wait, what?
Well, what the Watcher says, let's break down this episode as we go into the themes of the episode. As always, we got to start right into the time, space, reality theme, which sets the tone for what to expect and how this episode goes. And in this case, in episode 7, that single choice, that Nexus event, that one point that changes everything is, instead of I almost said Poseidon. I'm thinking of all these different gods, but no, instead of
Horse
Odin.
mythology.
Right. Instead of Odin raising Loki as his own son from infancy, he instead returns Loki back to the Frost Giants. Now, we all know in the sacred timeline what occurred was when Odin went to war with the Frost Giants, he fucked shit up, he wrecked shit, he did his colonizer shit, and he also stole a baby. He stole a whole baby. We find out in the first Thor movie when Loki eventually finds out that he's a stolen baby, and he goes, "Why, son? What was the reason?"
What was the reason?
It's kind of fucked up. And even though rightful, I also agree with Odin that Loki kind of twists his words. I also kind of agree with Loki because Odin says, well, I hoped you would be the bridge of peace between your race of people and my people. And to Loki, he says, oh, so I was just nothing but a tool for you. And as you see in that movie anyway, that goes down several different paths. What were you about to say, BenHaMeen?
Yeah, that's somewhat true. But also, this episode is, and also the thing about it is, Loki was an abandoned baby. He wasn't a stolen baby. He's abandoned because he's small. That's the thing. This episode isn't even as much it's more what if Loki wasn't small. Because Loki's a runt. And so the Frost Giants had thrown him out like most animals do with the runt of their litter.
So that's what happened in the sacred timeline that he was small. And that's interesting because I wonder if they either disregarded that point or just didn't make a point to it. Because in this episode, they don't mention, there's no mention of him being abandoned or anything like that. Like in the sacred timeline in the MCU movie, what Odin says is he found him in a temple. And to your point, he was abandoned potentially because he was small. In this show, they're not showing him as being any bigger. They're just showing him in the same size, same everything. There's no mention
Loki's massive. What do you mean? Loki's a giant frost giant.
When he's holding him as a baby in this cartoon, you see him as a giant.
No, he's a little baby. He grows into the giant frost giant.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
no, but they knew he was a runt already. They know. It's like,
well, that's debatable how they wrote it.
To us, the ice giants are like, a baby ice giant looks like a baby ice giant. But they know the runt. And they was like, Loki's small. Nah, throw him out of here. He was abandoned. And that's like the traditional lore is that he's abandoned because he might be a halfling or whatever. Like he's half-breed or something's not right.
But in this show, there's, as I mentioned, there's not really mentioned. It doesn't. I guess you can infer that if you want to follow the same trope. But they don't say that he was abandoned. It's more like he was found, and Odin brings him back. At least in this episode.
But in this episode, I guess
it's kind of questionable, right? But anyway, Odin finds him, quote unquote. Brings him back to Laufey and the Frost Giants, and then Loki goes to live his life as Prince Frost Giant of the North.
Yep.
And everything is right in the world, right? But that also makes Thor a single child, an only child, no siblings. And no shade to the only child out there. Some of y'all be growing up with these complexes. Let's say that, okay? And because of those complexes, a lot of y'all, and as we see here, Thor ends up growing up in a very selfish kind of manner. Now, what's interesting is he's not like a bad person, right? And again, the word bad is very relative. He's not like, as far as we can see, he's not like super disrespectful or anything like that, or he has to have everything his way, but he does feel very arrogant. He does feel very, very much how things would go if he went unchecked with no one else as a sibling to kind of check him and challenge his ways of thinking.
Now, remember something, too, and this is something that I'm starting to see, and I'm just accepting that Marvel is that type of asshole, right? Where they are going to make you watch everything. Because
I watched both Thor movies again.
Oh, that's on you, fam. I've actually done that recently, but I didn't really need to do it right now. So anyway, yes. So the thing about it is Loki has been shown in the Loki series to be the thing that improves all heroes. And that's also his traditional role in the Norse mythology. Like Loki cutting off Sif's hair is what leads to the creation of Mjolnir. Of the hammer.
Mjolnir. You sound like Darcy trying to explain how to pronounce it.
Meow meow.
Thor movie. Yes, meow meow.
That's how, and I've always called meow meow.
Mjolnir.
So, Mjolnir. But that's another one. That's how, all right, see, people go like, oh, how to pronounce it. Nigga, is any of y'all Norse? I don't think so. So
Listen, the closest y'all can get, the better. You don't need to. You don't need to.
There's
fix
no
that, I mean.
correct pronunciation of Mjolnir. That is how it is. None of us really know. Back to what I was talking about. So without Loki being in this timeline to influence Thor, he doesn't become the hero he should be. And that's also might be what happens at the end, but we'll also get into what exactly is happening at the end as well of this episode. But because he's not there to make Thor the hero he should be, we have Thor the party animal.
We do have the party. And one other point I want to make that's also divergent from the sacred timeline is, and again, once again, they don't explicitly say it, but is inferred. In the sacred timeline, when Odin went and took the baby, or excuse me, I don't know, what do you want to say? Found Loki and, decided to take care of him himself. I was going to say rescued, but he also, as part of the spoils of war, as with anything, he has the casket of ancient winters. And this casket is in the weapons vault. During the first movie where Thor is about to be ascended to the throne and all that, right before that can happen, Odin notices the disturbance in the force and realizes that there are frost giants in the weapons vault trying to steal that casket of ancient winters. That everything that precedes after, everything that follows that, meaning Thor saying, "Oh, we got to teach him a lesson. We got to do this and that." All his arrogance of that made him go, not made him, but he allowed himself to go disobey his father, trying to teach the frost giants a lesson. That also is what led to Odin casting him out, stripping him of his power, essentially stripping him of Mjolnir and enchanting Mjolnir as well. In this episode, none of that happens. So this is also this version of Thor with his only child syndrome. And also he's, as far as we see, he's never been stripped of power. He's always had Mjolnir. And also Mjolnir may not even be enchanted.
It's still enchanted to him.
Is it?
Yeah, because Captain Marvel can't lift it. That's part of it being enchanted
this
to him.
This is true. You're right.
Now, whether or not it's enchanted with he who is worthy,
right,
is probably not at this point.
But at least as far as ownership.
As far as ownership and as far as all it being the hammer of the god of thunder, and granting people the power of Thor. Well, see, that goes hand in hand. So, but yeah, it is enchanted to the fact that only Thor can lift it. Or only someone. Well, see, that's
the whole worthy thing. That's what I'm saying.
That worthy comes in with lifting it. So was it?
But does it, or is that specifically because of that enchantment that Odin put on it in the sacred timeline?
I'd say that it's actually enchanted, just like it is in the sacred timeline. And maybe Thor got cast out before we seen this and returned and everything. But
Odin, his actions.
Odin's in his Odin sleep. He don't know. What daddy don't know won't hurt him.
Facts.
But your daddy's little. That's a classic joint right there. Y'all know.
Because of that, Thor essentially is this immortal Playboy prince, or somewhat immortal, but Playboy prince. He's arrogant, self-absorbed, but nice, and essentially kind of a useful idiot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Party boy.
Now let's talk about the MCU film parallels and callbacks and references that get used throughout this episode. I mentioned a bunch already from the first Thor movie. We do get to see Dr. Jane Foster and Darcy Lewis, who are prevalent throughout this episode. In the movie, they're in New Mexico, I guess, but they're in New Mexico in that van trying to, along with Dr. Eric Selvig, trying to research all of these UFO sightings or whatever, or all these readings. In this one, you see that the Bifrost just kind of bypassed them completely. Like, instead of just landing right in front of them and then they having this conversation, the Bifrost keeps going and ends up in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was hilarious that Thor felt that he chose Earth because he felt it to be a backwater planet. I don't remember if that's the same feeling he felt at the beginning of the Sacred Timeline Thor. Okay.
Yep. Exact same.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. They call it a backwater planet no matter what.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
I mean, I know Earth is the hood, but goddamn.
The world is a ghetto.
Listen.
I've got a lot of great songs today.
Some of the things that do remain the same, we see this in this episode. Jane and Thor still end up developing a relationship. Slightly different, but again, perhaps it's one of those absolute points where that's never going to change no matter what. They're always going to be together.
No matter what.
We see the Warriors 3 as well as Sif. And as I mentioned in the sacred timeline, Thor rounds up his woes and goes to Jotunheim to try to teach the the Frost Giants a lesson for daring to try to steal the casket.
That steal is a weird word right there. Like, take back what is theirs.
Reclaiming their time, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying it from the perspective of Thor. He thinks it's theft, but it's just like, nigga, y'all fucking took it, and they're just pulling a Killmonger and taking their shit back.
And then let's talk about that, because Thor then goes on to slaughter massive amounts of Frost Giants.
I said colonizer earlier for a reason.
Yeah, super. Yeah,
like big time. But he doesn't do that like he did in Sacred Time. Instead, he rounds up all his boys and his homies and all this stuff, and they decide to go to Vegas and start from that point onwards a global Earth party. I
loved his entrance when he said that your dull lives are about to end, because I knew immediately that he was coming with the party line.
Yes. It was just so funny because they tried to make it like ominous. And I also thought it was a couple things I thought. I said, well, one, them landing in Vegas, people would potentially think like this is all a show, right? Yep. Vegas is known for, but it's also like for people to not react like in complete fear right away. Like if you was in Vegas right now and the Bifrost came down and 4 or 5 people showed up talking about, yo, before he even finished his sentence, like, would you be standing there right there?
Yeah, if I'm in Vegas. Because if I'm in Vegas, I'm in Vegas, I'm probably ripped, and I'm thinking that it's part of the, show. Like, I'm like, oh, look at this. What movie are they filming? Wow,
Wow. That's how people like you get fucking dusted first.
I mean,
I'm getting out the way.
If you're in Vegas, you deserve to be dusted anyway. So,
Hey, man, I was in Vegas not too long ago. What you mean?
Hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I deserve to get Independence Day just because I was there.
I mean, it's just wrong place, wrong time. But you got to expect things like that when you're in Vegas. Like, you got to expect, you seen the Hangover films. This is how it goes down in Vegas.
You got to expect some wild shit. Tigers running in the street, shit like that.
Yeah, Bifrost zapping you out of existence,
Okay. We do still get to meet Loki, but this time, and I really like the direction they went with this. You see him as the Frost Giant. So, and that's really clever just because I know that question has always been in people's minds. Like, well, what happened? What would have happened to Loki if he just was allowed to grow up the way he was supposed to, quote unquote? And this one, as Ben said, I guess he's not a runt this time. He grows up to be a big and strong Frost Giant. He got the ice horns and the whole 9 yards, and he's doing his thing. And what was still really cute is even with this juxtaposition, him and Thor still have a brotherly bestie relationship.
Yes. But because they're both party animals, neither one of them is holding either one of them back. They're both wilding out.
None of them have fucking responsibility.
No.
At all. Yeah. Another parallel we see is in Thor Ragnarok, and particularly just the characters that we see. We do see Scourge, which we know is a character that at first, when it kind of, I don't want to say double cross, but he what's the word when you you're a turncoat, but he became a turncoat for the Asgardians and ended up working with Hela. But then towards the end, he ended up kind of redeeming himself and sacrificing himself for the Asgardians, so whatever. But Scourge is in this.
Yeah, and Scourge is iconic from the comics, and that was an iconic moment in the Ragnarok film when they did him leaping into battle with the 2 M16s. That's like an iconic panel from the comics, is Scourge leaping into battle, but he's like fighting Suitor's demons, but it's still the same shot of him leaping forward with the 2 M16s, and it's so sick. Yeah.
You mentioned Surtur, who is the I don't know what you want to call him, but he is the Ragnarok, or the Ragnarok.
Surtur is the Surtur, whatever, is the ruler of, not of Hell. He's of one of the other 9 realms, I think it is, and the fire, whatever realm it is. Yeah,
it's Hell on Asgard because he's the one who destroys it.
Yeah,
it's the one that destroys it. But anyway.
He's involved in it in the true history of Ragnarok.
And you see him, and that's the only thing that's actually stopping Hela at that point. But you see Surtur in this episode. You also see the Grandmaster and his companion Topaz, as well as residents of Sakaar. We'll get to that later. I know why Ben's making that face. You also get to see Scrapper 142, also known as Valkyrie, the legend herself, Tessa Thompson. We also we get to see Korg. If you all remember in an earlier episode with it was the episode where T'Challa was a Ravager. We only saw Korg's arm, so I was like, "Damn, son, damn, son, the Collector killed Korg and took his arm." But this time you see Korg in all his full glory, and later we see that he accidentally ends up taking out Nick Fury. Nick is just unconscious, but because of Korg's actions, that makes Maria Hill the acting director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Beyond that, Korg is ripped out of his mind in this episode.
He is ripped.
Can we talk about how your man's is sitting there sucking on a pacifier?
What is that? Is that supposed to be like a Hangover reference? Like, what was that about?
I think that's a drug reference. Honestly, I'm not one of those people who've done all of those type of drugs, but I do know that a lot of party drugs, and I've heard that people suck on pacifiers because of a reaction to, certain drugs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say there was a drug on or in this type pacifier.
No, I think it's like, they do it just because of something their mouth is doing. I'm not sure. I might be wrong on that. But I do know that, pacifiers are usually seen at raves with people on massive amount of drugs. So
that wouldn't be beyond Korg's constitution.
No, Korg seems like the type of dude who does massive amount of drugs. And I'm here for it, I fully understand that vibe.
And, of course, if you see Korg, you got to see his boy Meek. Meek is there as well.
Meek Mills.
There is a shot of Meek when they are on the bridge in Sydney, Australia. We get some stuff from Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of characters as well. You see Yondu and Ravagers. You see Drax. He gets a few lines. You even see Rocket Raccoon at some point when they are they wake up like in the Hangover movie. They wake up all groggy in the hotel. Rocket is sleeping in one of the sinks of the bathroom. And from afar, you hear Thor refer to him as a rabbit. He says, "Oh, look at this cute little rabbit in the sink." That's also what he calls Rocket in Infinity War. Mm-hmm. We also see Aisha and the Sovereign. That's those fully golden, what did they say, specially designed people from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yep.
We also see Nebula as well as Mantis.
And expect to see Aisha and them again in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Mm-hmm. Like 100%.
Adam Warlock? Remember that end credit scene? Okay.
Yeah, that's coming.
All right. So rounding out the themes, let's talk about the implications and other stuff that falls in that category. So once again, why I really love this episode and why it's probably my favorite, if not one of my favorites, is while all of this happening is technically a full-scale alien invasion, but the complete opposite of all the violence you would expect happens. It's pretty outlandish, it's pretty comical, but it works.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I loved it. It was great. Like, just the whole everything, Thor smashing up Stonehenge, which I think is a shout out to National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Okay.
Where the Griswold's back into Stonehenge and it does the same domino effect.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Damn.
Yeah. It's like, they were shouting out all the party movies in this. I see in Ferris Bueller's. Also the one with Seth Green that's in it. Oh, God, the name slips my mind, where Seth gets locked in the bathroom with the girl at the party. Can't Hardly Wait.
Oh, okay.
Classic. Oh, if you haven't seen it, it's such a good movie on the low. It's one of the ones, it slipped by me too, and it's a classic teen party movie. Can't Hardly Wait is so good. Seth Green kills it. He's so good.
Yeah. So I liked all of the callbacks to these party movies because, as you see in this episode, it's a massive rager all over Midgard, and you see all of the bullshit that goes down. And it's so funny, like the mischievous destruction is still destruction, but it's also like, are people really mad? At least not at first. People are not mad, but I think it would get to that point, right? Like you see Surtur accidentally melting the arm off the Statue of Liberty. He ends up trying to do limbo under some power lines and takes up off that, like the Eastern Seaboard, the power off the Eastern Seaboard. Frost giants take apart like this giant Ferris wheel in some city.
Might be same Ferris wheel from Spain. No, because it was on the river.
Somewhere.
Where were they at in Far From Home when they were battling on the Ferris wheel?
I thought they were in the UK.
No, they were going all over. Remember, they were in Spain, Italy. They kept moving.
Somewhere in Europe, right?
Yeah, somewhere.
Thor knocks down Stonehenge, like you said. Loki and the Frost Giants vandalize Mount Rushmore with the Casket of Ancient Winters. Again, just widely misusing these tools or weapons.
I mean, really? They could be killing people with it.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
we seen it in the other timeline when he showed up with the thing with the casket. You know,
Yeah,
he
man.
was laying them down with it.
I guess
no
these
problem.
are the best versions. Like these are the
like-
best versions of these characters,
like
right?
what? Like you know, he who remains told you. You know,
He
it
did say
could be
that.
worse.
What else? They also steal the St. Louis arch to turn it into a slingshot. I was
Is it
just like,
St.
that's
Louis?
fucking-
St. Louis?
St. Louis, St. Louis, right?
I loved it.
That joke, that question that always goes out. Thor almost damages Sydney Opera House before being intercepted by Captain Marvel when he said, "Watch me slide down this shit." That nigga's a wild boy, okay? I just, again, that was also potentially a shout out to Chris Hemsworth himself because he is from Australia, him and his bros.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, this is technically during when Thor was fixing everything, but he actually broke it. He put the Leaning Tower of Pisa back upright. It's supposed to be leaning. So that's another funny thing that tends to happen when, like, if you've seen cartoons where they do that gag where like they push the tower back and all sorts of shit.
Bugs Bunny has done that too many times.
Yeah. And also, just one thing I wanted to definitely point out was I thought the fight, like when they really got to the hand-to-hand combat between Captain Marvel and Thor, I mean, really just a masterclass in animation.
Yeah.
And I watched it so many times, I was trying to see the seams and how they did it because it looks like motion capture. Like, it looks like a bit more than just cell-shaded animation. Like, it's just too fucking crisp and too smooth.
I mean, you know, it could be, but really good animation, which you just don't see a lot of like that, is easily that smooth. You know, like
it was just
man, Chuck
effortless,
Jones,
looks effortless.
Yeah, them old Chuck Jones, you know, Tom and Jerry and shit like that. That shit is all that, like camera rotations, all kind of stuff that people can do with computers now. That when I see it, like there's this animation you can find it on Twitter. It's a Superman PSA where Superman is taking out some dude who's trying to sell cigarettes to kids. And Superman grabs this dude and throws him into the sun, which is one funny part of it. But
okay, that escalated quickly.
It does. But the way the camera moves around Superman, and they were doing all this shit hand drawn. And
it was some Matrix shit that they did?
It's like, you know, it's just a perspective. It's like it goes from here and then moves around him to the backside of him so you can see him throw him, you know? So it's like, but it's all hand drawn, you know, ain't no computers, this shit is stupid, you know, and that's what I mean. It's just, I think people don't get to see it enough, especially in Western animation, this level of smoothness where people are like, oh, it's gotta be like them, you know, some dudes fighting and then them just shell shading. Not. Because I think cell shading can't get the level of smoothness and the level of animation that you were getting in that fight. That shit was,
I mean, it was something else, and I know I'm going to do the research to figure out how they fucking did that scene.
Oh, just wait for What If to end, and they're gonna do the What If Legacy thing that they do for all these series, where they'll show you. Well,
hopefully they'll explain that.
No, they have to.
I mean, I've just, as you said, not in this level of animation. I just never seen, at least for this Western Marvel stuff. Yeah. I've never seen them do it like that.
Nah, because like I mean, you know, we start getting into Japanese. You know, it's always that shit.
Japanese animation is a different ball.
But that's what I mean. I think it just fell off in the West. When you go, like, that's why I always talk about that Chuck Jones, that damn Tom and Jerry stuff, because it's like that stuff was so insanely smooth. You know, it was just like stupid to what they were doing back then. Disney, you know, old Disney, like, come on.
Yeah. Well, and also just the epicness of their battle was
man,
fire. Like the fact that each punch lands the other person in a different fucking continent, a different fucking country. Like, yo,
that shit it reminded me so much, and I loved it because it went back to comics. There's this fight between, I think, Rogue and Juggernaut, where Juggernaut punches her ass, and she just, not another country, but she lands in another part of the city, and the whole shot of it is her flying away from the punch and being like, ow, 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 and she flies away.
Yo, it's just, and I was gonna mention this later, but I mention this now just it makes sense. Just the references to cartoons, the references to particularly Looney Tunes and that type of form of animation, like the fact that when you're far away enough, you can see the name of the country. Like that's from cartoons. That's straight up cartoons. And you see the name of the country and all those things and stuff. And like as Captain Marvel was getting closer, you see France, and then you saw Homeboy get kicked over to the U.S. and it was just fire. Yeah, and they fought to the point they literally went around the world. Yeah, like this was some injustice shit. This is some justice video game shit.
Facts. When Thor got hit though, when she was hitting him up, And that once again is back to cartoon. My man started making like them cartoon dog noises. He was like, "Aroo!"
It was
like, yo,
great.
She beating the dog shit out of you, literally.
Right. And then I gravitate towards the episodes that aren't as dark. So I really liked the fact that this was very sunshine, rainbow filled until the very end. Until the very end. Which literally the last fucking frame where you see, of all people, what appears to be the Vision in like an exosuit modeled after Ultron with all of the Infinity Stones on him.
Let's talk about that.
Now let's talk about that real quick, because if you were eagle-eyed early on in the episode when Thor was talking shit with his woes in the going to go get beer before they got to Earth, it went real quick, but the gauntlet was behind him.
Yes. Now, that gauntlet has been revealed by Hela to be a fake.
Okay.
The one that Odin kept in the throne room is a fake. That's revealed in the movie.
Okay.
Which was really just a continuity fix because they had to fix why the hell that gauntlet was even there in the first place when Thanos, grabs the gauntlet from the dwarves, etc.
Got it.
So that was just a continuity fix, but that's why they show it there again, that he has this fake gauntlet. But the thing is, that's not Vision. That is not Vision wearing an Ultron suit. That is Ultron wearing a Vision suit. Now, there's a couple possibilities, but I think the main this is what happened. This comes from another time. This Ultron Vision that we see at the end shows up because he's coming from another timeline where he was not stopped by the Avengers.
Yes.
Where he won the Age of Ultron and takes over Vision's body because that was his original goal. Remember, Thor was supposed to Thor, the rest of the Avengers come together, they put the lightning, all this other dumb shit, and Vision comes alive. But originally, Ultron's plan was to take his body, his consciousness, and put it into the body of the Vision, thus achieving his final form. So that's what we see in this one, right? We see a Vision Ultron who's wearing that shell and doing it like Tony Stark, which was an ill-quit shout from me when he flips his mask up just like his father. Because we always, in the Age of Ultron, we saw that Ultron was just like Tony Stark. And that's something that I felt wasn't appreciated enough because I didn't, the first time I saw Age of Ultron, because I didn't really like Spader's take on Ultron. But when I've peeped it a couple times, I think his Ultron is brilliant because he is the son of Tony. And so he's this sarcastic asshole, just like Tony. So I love him now. And so
it makes sense now.
Yeah, to see that little flip, just like Tony, to flip your mask up and reveal the inside.
Yeah.
So this is the Ultron, right, that has the Mind Stone immediately when he, comes to life.
Yeah.
Then just like Thor, who got the vision of all the stones, he knows of their existence. He has it in his effing head. So he goes and gets the other two on Earth. Thanos shows up. He got three. Thanos takes the L. Boom. Now this Ultron Vision is traveling through the multiverses like Kang the Conqueror, which I think is why the Watcher was surprised by him.
He was mad surprised. You could tell he had no idea this was about to happen next. Now, I didn't know whether or not, again, if that was just the Watcher doing his black man watching a horror film shit, where he's just like, watch out back there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but uh-oh.
Right. Because at the end of the day, the Watcher is viewing Earth season 220, episode 12. So he's just reacting as if he's watching TV almost.
But I think this is the difference, and this is why I'm still not sure how much effect What If is going to have into the larger Marvel universe. But all of these episodes that we've seen thus far are going to lead into what is going to be, I guess, a 2-part finale.
I don't know. And
or is it just one episode left? Is that what's happening? I'm not sure. If, we thought it was 9, but it might be 8 now. Who knows? But
well, they're still saying 9, but we don't know if 9 means, as you say, a 2-parter.
It's definitely a 2-parter
finale, or does it just mean 2 separate episodes?
No, I'm gonna bet on 2-parter because what I think is happening here is the Watcher has been surprised, and the multiverse is being surprised by this invading Ultron who's out buck wilding. So what the Watcher is gonna do, like we said, we keep seeing him become more and more corporeal, more and more physical every episode. That carried on into this episode. Then he gets surprised at this episode. So what he's going to go do is go and collect and create his own multiversal Avengers. So like in the trailer, we'll see that shot, the round robin circle shot of Dark Doctor Strange, T'Challa Star-Lord, Captain Carter, who's Party Animal Thor.
Are we too? And
Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, probably. Yeah.
This is two questions. Like, I know technically, well, maybe not. This show, What If, could we infer that this is the results of what happened at the end of Loki? Like,
yes.
Okay, so these are the literal stories of, like, as we saw all those divergent timelines, all those branches, these are some of the stories that we're being apprised of right now.
Yes, and that's what, I didn't peep this till last week, and I'm sure right now, shout out twitch.tv/RawNerd, shout out to the Twitch chat, love y'all. I know y'all saying this right now, because I didn't peep this myself till last week, but on the What If official account, they have in one of their Instagram posts is the TVA watching the timeline break off of last week's episode, and it had the description, in the ticker tape on the TVA thing.
So they've basically confirmed that's what this is. They've
confirmed it, that this is exactly what we're seeing. So what I'm saying is that even though Kang is running everything, and maybe the TVA even shows up in the next couple episodes of What If, who knows? But this Ultron Vision is running amok and is like going to be the big villain that they have to stop in these last two episodes.
Well, here's the thing. There's also the dead Thanos that has all the stones in the zombie episode.
Yikes.
So what about that one? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if all of this, if everything is true, right? If everything exists all at the same time, what about those dangers?
Lot to deal with in 2 episodes. I mean, Doctor Strange destroyed his whole universe. Is anybody gonna call him to account for that? Like,
nah. That universe is quiet for them. It's done with for them.
Now he's gonna be a hero suddenly.
He don't exist no more, right? At least that version don't exist no more.
Yeah, but he's still gotta, be held accountable for that, right?
Does he?
Wow.
He's a white man.
Wow, these Avengers just did away with murder. He can't keep getting away with this.
But
Doctor Strange is the devil.
But I mean, forget the race relations. Like, for real, he can't be held accountable because he doesn't exist anymore.
No, the universe does. His guilt still exists. Nigga, like, this nigga still gotta look himself in the mirror. Like, that don't stop.
Okay, fine.
Like I say, these people are monsters. You know what I mean? Like, I can't look myself in the. If I can't look myself in the mirror, that's all that ever matters to me in life. You know what I mean? I'm never doing anything where I can't be like, nah. I
was just under the impression when his universe collapsed, and right before when the Watcher was like, nah, son, and everything went, faded to black. I thought that version of Strange was also faded to black.
Like, nah, he's still sitting up in that purple.
He's just sitting in the black by himself.
Yeah, he just sitting there, dog. It's stress. Trust. Like, when we see Strange in that next episode, this man gonna be stressed. Stressed. And that's like something, this is off the topic, but I pray, y'all, and I'm putting this out there in the universe, that in the next Spider-Man film, if they bring Andrew Garfield's character from the multiverse into it, he is stressed out of his mind because this man let Captain Stacy die and Gwen Stacy die. So if he is not like out of his mind stressed, I'll be disappointed. But I think Marvel is smart enough to know that and, carry that thread on.
Right.
So yeah, when we see this dark Doctor Strange, this man gonna be stressed. And that, like, I just can't believe it. But if Marvel somehow works dark Doctor Strange into the Spider-Man film, and that's the Doctor Strange we saw in the trailer.
Oh man, that would make so much sense too.
I'd be so fucking mad at them. I'll throw this,
Why would you? I mean, it would be an easy explanation.
It would be, but it'd also be like, you better watch all this shit. And that's the one, like, why, like, I didn't think they would do it with Loki, and then they did. This is a little much just because Sony is involved. That is the only reason why I'd be like, oh, that might be a bit, but maybe not. Because it would help them explain why the Doctor Strange was bugging in the trailer. And then it would, but also, no, because there's a difference between that one and what we saw in the trailer at the same time.
It's a big difference.
The nigga in the circle is dark. Like, my man's eyes is black his suit. No, you can't hide that with like some spell. You can't hide that shame and guilt.
You can't hide. Wait. You can't hide his under his bags under his eyes. He can't just.
You
get some
are who
creams.
you were
He
when
can't
you
go-
got here,
He
fam.
can go to Sephora and get
No.
some creams and fix that. No,
Dog, ain't nothing. Like when Shorty saw him, she saw his true image. Most people
Yeah.
are gonna see that. My man is
Yeah.
a monster.
monsters, Letty.
Like literally, my man is a sugar.
Not you calling Doctor Strange a blogger.
No, not a blog off. That's no. The
He-
blog off is our friend.
Okay,
The
you're
shug
right.
off
The shug
is
off.
not. No, not the
All
shug
right.
off.
All right, let's real quick talk about these characters. The Watcher, Jeffrey Wright.
Yep.
You said it, BenHaMeen. He was shocked, disbelief.
My man. Wait, what?
What's kind of, and that's what I'm saying. When you see what you said, Ben, just took me back to what you mentioned last week or so when you were like, they're in the comics. There's a story where the Watchers fucking put themselves into this paradox and end up dusting themselves some way. And I'm just like, are they stupid? Like, it just reminds me of stupid Nebula in the Infinity Gauntlet comics too. Like, are they actually stupid and they just do dumb shit sometimes?
It's
or?
not that they're stupid. They're just too philosophical about everything.
Okay.
And it's this idea that they overthink everything.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
All right.
It's not that they're stupid. They're very intelligent. They just think too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And the paradox for those who missed our last week episode, we got new listeners, is that the Watchers are not supposed to involve themselves in anything. They're just supposed to watch and observe. That's the creed of their race. But someone introduces the idea to them that just by watching things, by observing, you are affecting the outcome, which is a true fact of physics. Like, we observe things and that affects the outcome. So the Watchers are like, fuck! And because of this, they start dying off, as they contemplate this. Because they're like, well, maybe if I die, then I'm not affecting anything.
They do that. They go like this.
They just lay it down.
They
Right
fade
there.
out.
It's great.
Yeah.
Comics are the best thing ever, folks.
Lots of drugs.
Yeah.
Most of the actors in the Sacred Timeline appear to voice their same characters. So for Thor, we have Chris Hemsworth. Jane Foster is indeed Natalie Portman. I was laughing how thirsty she is over Thor. I was just like, yo, is Jane that thirsty over him in the movies? And I just maybe didn't notice.
Yes. Super thirsty in the movies.
I never really cared for her character in the movies, but I was just like, God damn, girl. Like,
I can't wait to see what they do with her in the next movie.
Honestly, and I don't know. Like, I love live action Thor. Like, I think he's fucking hot. But
Yeah.
this version looks like a stone from Beauty and the Beast. And I wasn't feeling it. So I was just like, you think he's fire like that? But anyway, it was too much.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that point. But Loki was voiced by Tom Hiddleston. He is doing triple, double overtime. He made a triple double at this point with everything on Disney Plus because this man is everywhere, getting the bag. We got Darcy Lewis voiced by Kat Dennings. Her
Congratulations.
voice is just, her voice is indistinct. Like there's no way you can miss her voice. So once she started talking, I was like, that's Kat.
Kat just got married to the other party animal. I guess he's kind of former Andrew WK.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Of She Is Beautiful fame. That's the one song I know from Andrew WK.
Yeah, he had that real party song before that. I remember that.
She Is Beautiful.
Oh, that's the one?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
It Is Beautiful or whatever. Sorry if I'm saying it.
can't remember. I
But the
just
word
remember
beautiful is in there.
His first hit, right? That's his first big
His first hit.
Yeah, that joint was that shit got played.
That was big.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson comes back to voice Nick Fury for a hot second.
Hot.
Before he is cannonballed by Korg. Jeff
Yeeted.
Goldblum makes an appearance as the Grandmaster.
Is it time?
Not yet. Real quick. Rachel House reprises her voice anyway as Topaz. Kobe Smulders comes back and Maria Hill. Clark Gregg, Agent Coulson. Karen Gillan, I love, you and I talk about how much we love how she voices Nebula, how she acts as Nebula. She's Nebula.
I think I am my father calling.
Yes, like, oh man, the way it's just perfect.
Yeah, I just love it.
Taika Waititi comes back as Korg. Seth Green does reprise his voice as Howard the Duck. Captain Marvel, that's actually a whole different voice actor. He almost, I guess this is your notes, Ben, about what happens with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, she gets told to smile, which is a definite callback to when everyone wanted Brie Larson to smile more when she was cast as Captain Marvel. And I love the lead up to Thor calling her a party pooper because he's like, it's a famous term for American women.
Yeah.
And everybody knows.
A Midgard term. He swore the man was going to say bitch, but he didn't.
Biatch. What's my favorite word?
Yes. All right. Now that we are into the Easter eggs, inspiration, and music as we round out the end of this episode, now, Ben, we can talk about something that you notice when it comes to the Grandmaster that is grinding your gears. Please explain what
grinding my gears as my new AKA Grandmaster Flash Gordon. You got to bring in the music. I am myself DJ BenHaMeen, and it's something that is a common occurrence in films, animation, whatever you want to say, whenever you see DJs. And allow me to explain, as you see on our screenshot right here, the Grandmaster Wallace DJing hand is on the right side of the turntable. Mm-hmm. As we see right here, thanks to the magic of technology, I have turntables here. A DJ normally puts his hand on the left side of the turntable and does this, scratching. And
why is that? Because you're going with the rotation.
You're going with the rotation. You are either pulling the record back or pushing it forward. Chipper, 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 chipper.
Thank you for sound effects.
The record spins this way, right? That is the way a turntable normally spins. What's that? Clockwise. So you would not put your hand over here and push it reverse as the In fact, his hand is up here, which normally would be where your damn needle is. So you're not going to do this. And I really, to this day, I fail to understand why. All this time, they just can't ask there's so many fucking DJs out here. Like, everybody and their mama's a DJ.
Ask a DJ. And I, as soon as I saw that scene, I said, can't wait to hear what Ben has to say about that. I was like, something's got to be wrong.
I paused it and rewound it immediately because I was like, because I'm enjoying the episode. I'm like, fuck.
The disappointment.
He can't keep getting away with this.
This is why you all need to be on our Twitch, twitch.tv/forallnerds. And if you can't make the Twitch, make sure you are watching on our YouTube channel when this goes up later, youtube.com/forallnerdstv. Make sure you watch because you'll see exactly what BenHaMeen has just illustrated. And I am so sorry, BenHaMeen. I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Like I said, this was a great episode. Animation was beautiful. I right before we started, I looked at the screenshot again. My man's hand is clearly on the right side, clearly trying to scratch the record that way. He doesn't have needles. It's obviously some digital-ish, so it's possible. It's just pointless and wrong. And I just, I just like.
DJs are gonna riot everywhere. I understand.
I mean, look, any DJ worth their salt who sees that should be the first thing they say. Like, what the fuck? Like,
right.
Proper hand placement, folks. It's it's like somebody playing a piano and they close the thing and they're sitting there.
So mad, Joe.
And they're sitting, they just sitting there tapping on the cover without, where they can't hit the keys, Or like somebody, they got a guitar and they got no strings.
Oh, they have their hands. They don't have their hands on the frets.
Yeah, they have no strings.
Wrong, or they have no strings.
Yeah, and they just sitting there like hitting that joint, like, and you're like, wait a minute. Like,
I understand. It's infuriating for the
drummer with no sticks, like.
It's infuriating. I get it.
It just doesn't make sense.
Well, now that you got your grievances out, let's finish on with the other inspirations of this episode. You mentioned the thing about the aspect of party movies, but Hollywood movies in general also are prevalent. What I'm trying to say? The references are in here galore. Darcy does say a line, Hollywood movies didn't prepare me for this in terms of, and she was talking about just all the overall shenanigans happening. There are lots of Hollywood movies being referenced. At one point, when Darcy watches the Bifrost fly over their heads, she yells out, "They're here!" That's a classic line from the movie Poltergeist. The little girl in front of the TV says that in terms of the ghosts in the house. Mm-hmm. She talks about when she see that it's a party and not like a full-fledged, violence happening when these aliens are coming. Darcy also says, shouldn't there be more lasers probing a cow? She mentions E.T. Again, every alien movie that you've seen in the last 40 years has some variation of any of those things thereof. The Hangover movie was a big reference. There's lots of, and that's why I was like, just little things like the pacifier. Was that in reference to the baby? In the Hangover movie?
Could be that too. Yep.
Yeah. This stuff, again, this is before my time. I had to Google this stuff, but
Not me.
Nick Fury calls Thor Spicoli.
Spicoli with a capital. Spell that, man. Put some respect on Spicoli's name, man.
All right. Who is Spicoli?
Spicoli is Sean Penn's character from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, an absolute classic of
And
a
is that
film.
like a party kind of?
Spicoli is the originator of that character. Like, all characters who like...
The stoner?
Yeah, the stoner, Bill and Ted are descendants of Spicoli. Like straight up and down. Wayne's World, all of them are from the mountain that Sean Penn established when he wasn't a, asshole as being just a great actor. He killed
Got
it.
it.
Yeah, so good. Spicoli, amazing.
We mentioned Ferris Bueller's Day Off and all those types of movies that still go on now where like kids try to cover up their mischievousness before the parents get home, but the parents being none the wiser.
Weird Science, another one. Where they have completely destroyed the house and they are like reversing time actually to get that shit back.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Weird Science.
Wow. Shit. It even happened. Did it also happen in Superman 2 or something? When Superman like flew backwards to rewind.
That's Superman 1.
Okay.
He flies backwards.
He flies backwards to try to fix all the shit that goes down. Like basically, you see all this wild shit happening that's just prevalent in many different movies, Hollywood movies, and also 80s references. Captain Marvel, as we know, that at least her stuff took place in the 90s, but she calls Thor White Snake, which is a band from the 80s, like a hair band from the 80s that has that same kind of look.
Yep.
There are shades. I felt there were shades of the Lion King. When Frigga mentions to Thor that, she's going on vacation and she says Heimdall's going to be watching you. And Thor has an annoyed reaction, like, really, why? That reminded me of the whole Simba and Zazu relationship. Zazu's that bird that gets assigned by Simba's parents to go watch him and Nyla while they're getting in their mischievousness. And Thor also acts like Simba, like how he talks about how the responsibility of the king is boring. He can't wait to be king because it's going to be fun and games and it's going to be kiki and all that shit. So that's the tea that I got on that. And then we mentioned also Looney Tunes, just the cartoony fighting, lots of shades of Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, especially when they were fighting in what I presume to be the Grand Canyon. Like when was it Carol that landed there first or was it Thor that landed first? Where they landed in the dirt and you saw that smoke or dust cloud show up. Just the close-ups of Carol giving Thor the hands where, as you said, Thor was doing those sounds and you saw his like jaw getting out of whack and all this stuff. Just it was really cool.
I love the references. There was a couple for Captain Marvel as well, too. I love them because one, when Darcy is talking to Captain Marvel and she's like, I totally expected you to be a dude, Captain Marvel. And look at you here, not. And that's because the original Captain Marvel from the comic books is Captain Marvel, who is a dude.
Yeah.
I also loved the moment at the end when Thor is talking to Captain Marvel because he's saying it about the iPad, but also about Captain Marvel. He's like so tiny and so much inside her. And that's also a reference from the first Avengers when he's like, you are all so petty. So tiny.
He's so funny.
So tiny.
I didn't mention earlier, but I meant to. The scroll are all throughout this episode.
Yep. You get me so well. That was great.
Yeah, that was so funny. I did just make note that during the montage, the party hangover montage in Vegas, Jane and Thor get matching tats. Her tat is of Mjolnir with the words magic. And his is of a microscope with the word science under it. And it just reminded me of that adage or that phrase, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Mm-hmm. So they reference that in the first Thor movie when they're talking to each other. He explains to her that in the world he comes from, magic and science are indistinguishable.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. That's when they were really trying to play that. It's so funny how Marvel has changed over the years. Because that's when they were really trying to play down the idea of Thor and them being gods. And they're even being magic in the Marvel universe. Because they were like, no, we got to have, science is indistinguishable from magic. It's just
right.
Just advanced science. And now they got Doctor Strange being like, magic, bitch.
Magic bitch.
Yeah, so it's like, it's so funny how the Marvel universe has changed if you pay close attention.
Yeah. In this timeline, while S.H.I.E.L.D. is established, the Avengers are not. So there's nobody to potentially call on to save the planet when Thor and his goons come here to party. But they do what they call the last resort, which is that pager to get Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel from wherever she is in the universe to come help them. So that same pager that we were introduced to in by Nick Fury, they have that pager. They call her, and that's where she shows up, or they beep her, whatever. They kind of reuse a few scenes from Captain Marvel, particularly her like coming down, being emblazoned with all her power. We actually see that same scene. Anything else, BenHaMeen, you want to say in this? What's this? Put the
hammer down. That's a reference to the Avengers film as well. I think Captain Marvel tells him to put the hammer down, and in the Avengers film, Thor tells Iron Man or Cap, I think it's Iron Man who he's fighting at that point, do you want me to put the hammer down? And then he puts the hammer down, and Loki's like, oh, you shouldn't ask him to do that. And then, he puts the hammer down on his ass instead of, that.
Damn.
And we also mentioned it before, but Thor has used that trick in the films as well to pin people to the ground, which he does with Captain Marvel. Yeah.
I know she was so pissed, and it was just funny to me how, like, it's not that she's not powerful, but she was just ineffective at dealing with his bullshit.
Yeah, and I also loved it though because it shows how powerful once again Captain Marvel is. Where she goes toe to toe with Thor with no problem. Like you said, that fight scene was so sick. My man goes to all the effort of bringing all the lightning in, and she just absorbs it with no issue at all.
She was sitting there like it was a sponge. She was just tasty. She was like, this shit's a Scooby snacks. Sam, like, come on, come harder.
You're just energizing me, dog. I do anything I want with energy. This is like, Captain Marvel is a very powerful character, and I'm really hoping the next Marvel film with Nia DaCosta, right? I really hope that they really do justice to her. To all of the Marvels, yes, to Monica, to Kamala, and
they gotta help Monica out, man, because the last go round.
Carol too. I ain't really been feeling what they've been doing with her either.
That wasn't my favorite movie, to be quite honest. I didn't like it much. It's
okay, and I love her, and I think she's in the snippets, like in Infinity War and Endgame. I think those snippets of her as Captain Marvel is like, ooh, this is it. Like when she don't flinch, just little stuff, her smirk, all that. I love her attitude as Captain Marvel, but the movie just ain't giving
the animated Captain Marvel's great.
Yeah, she was great. But this wasn't even her this episode, so
nope.
Ouch.
Well, you said it, but not me. Anyway, if there's nothing else to mention about this episode, that marks the end of our review for episode 7 of What If Thor Were an Only Child. Thank you to everybody who is in the Twitch chat right now, holding it down. Twitch.tv/4allnerds. Every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, you are in the chat with us. You are enjoying, you are imbibing, you are avoiding working because half of y'all take extended lunch breaks to listen to us. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Make sure you are following us so you can chat. Also, if you have the means, please make sure you are subscribed to us. If you have Amazon Prime, link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. That's how you get a free subscription every month. Please let that subscription be for all nerds so you can watch us and join in on the fun. Another ways you can also support us. BenHaMeen had this dance he just did in the background. You see this beautiful Wong was right sweatshirt he was wearing. Move to the right a little. Oh, yeah, there you go. Wong was right. Thank you to Latina. Is it Latina Geek? Is that her handle?
Yes.
Thank you to Latina Geek who helped us to design this shirt. This is fire. Mine's is on the way. If you want your very own Wong was right shirt, and trust me, you do, make sure you go to tpublic.com/4allnerds. Oh, excuse me. tpublic.com/stores with an S /4allnerds, where you can get that design as well as many others. You see here my classic For All Nerds logo design. You also will have our Views from the 616, the blackest podcast, MCU podcast design there, as well as a whole bunch of many really dope things there. You can get it on a variety of products. You can get t-shirts, you can get mugs, you can get books, you can get pillows, you can get masks, whatever you like, get that. Shout out to everyone on the Patreon who are supporting us. Oh my God. Your support is what keeps driving this show, helps us pay the people that we love, that are part of the fan fam, the eternal fan fam. Shout out to Chica, shout out to Luna, shout out to Uncolored Page. Thank you so much. Go to patreon.com/4allnerds. Every tier is special. All of you get benefits. Make sure you're on there if you want to continue supporting For All Nerds and help us get even higher on the scale to glory. What else, BenHaMeen? Make sure you're following us on the socials at For All Nerds, at Tatiana King, at DJ BenHaMeen. We are now also on TikTok.
Yep.
We are going to be putting some more videos up there. Follow us on TikTok, For All Nerds, and follow us on your favorite or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. There is absolutely no reason why you can't find us. We're on everything you can imagine. We are there. Look for All Nerds, For All Nerds, to be able to listen to Views from the 616. Anything else, BenHaMeen?
I think you mentioned it, but make sure you follow us on all socials at Views from 616, the official account of the Views from the 616 podcast.
We're
New York Comic Con is coming up.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's right around the corner. We will be there in full effect. We will be there as press. So if you happen to be in attendance and you see us, please say hello. Do not be afraid of BenHaMeen or I. Even if I have RBF, I'm really a nice person. So just say what's up. We may have some special stickers and stuff to give you. You know what I'm saying? We also have a panel that's going to be Saturday afternoon.
You get a panel. He gets a panel. She gets a panel.